Hello guys, in today's video we're going to check out the best PC cases in 2020. I made this list based on my personal opinion and I tried to list them based on their price, quality, durability and more. If you want to see their price and find out more information about them, you can check out the links in the description below. Let's get started. Number 5. Cooler Master H500 Best Airflow. The newer Cooler Master Case H500X case is the H500, not the H500P or the H500P Mesh, nor the H500M, just plain H500. The look of the H500X family was established by the H500P late last year, and the cases that followed all share the dual 200mm RGB intake fans and a similar front panel. The H500 steers further away from the original than the others though. Most obviously, the top of the case has an odd hump at the front, similar to the old HAF 912, 922 and 932s. On the 912, this was advertised as a top platform for personal belongings, but it's more practical on the H500, hiding a plastic handle for lifting the case. It's not as bulletproof as a metal handle would be, but it's fine for lifting the case onto a table, and these days that's about the only reason anyone needs to pick up a PC. The PSU bay has 2 sets of mounting holes, so you may install your unit any way you like. Above that are the 7+1 expansion slots, with the 8th slot being vertical. All of the horizontal covers are easily removable and reusable as well, while the vertical one is of the breakout kind. In the very top, you'll find a 120mm exhaust fan set to push hot air out of the back of the Mastercase H500. Overall, the Cooler Mastercase H500 is a well-positioned mass-market case for those who still want to end up as part of the family without spending the usual premium on the fancier variants. Number 4. Fractal Design Meshify C Best Compact Mid-Tower Case. Fractal's naming system is getting a little cluttered. The Meshify C is 100% a defined CTG with an angular stealth-inspired front panel that looks like black diamond facets, according to Fractal. It's a cool look and it breaks away from the current trend of plain flat front panels in a way that's reminiscent of the Corsair Spec 04. The solid front panel used in previous designs reflected some internal component noise back into the case, so your new build might be a little noisier. Yet we're no longer forcing the intake fans to draw air through thin slots on the sides of the front panel, so your new build might also be a little cooler. Front panel connections at the top include just 2 USB 3.0 headers, headphone and microphone jacks, along with power and reset buttons. The mesh top panel cover behind it is affixed via magnetic strips. The Meshify C includes separate screw packs for the motherboard and drives, cable ties, standoffs, a Phillips head adapter socket to help builders install the standoffs, documentation, and a cleaning cloth. The Define C, for example, doesn't have a tempered glass side panel, so buyers trying to decide between the S340 Elite and Meshify C probably aren't even considering the elder product. If you want one of the most premium looking and performing PC cases, you should definitely check this one out. Number 3. Be Quiet Pure Base 500DX Best Build Quality. The Be Quiet Pure Base 500DX is an easy-to-use chassis with lots of included extras and great thermal performance. Just know it needs quiet components to keep noise levels down under load. The Pure Base 500DX might be the most un-Be Quiet case the company has ever built. It's the first chassis from Be Quiet that comes with addressable RGB, and a huge mesh front intake is arguably the last thing to come out of Be Quiet's factory. The 2 front RGB strips at the centre of the chassis each have 14 individually addressable LEDs, and the internal strip that hides above the tempered glass panel has another 10. The internal layout of the Pure Base 500DX is about as bog standard as it gets, and that's a good thing. Gone is the excessive space at the front for external drives and tons of HDDs. For cooling, the chassis comes with 3 900 RPM PureWings 2 fans that use voltage control for regulation, 3-pin. The top of the chassis can support up to 240mm radiator, and the front a 360mm unit. All that said, the price you pay for all of the case's good qualities is noise. As soon as the NVIDIA Founders Edition GPU comes into play, it becomes clear why noise-conscious builders would want a more silent chassis. However, close to idle temperature as you're browsing the web doing light work, And if you're willing to spend some time optimizing your fan curves, the PureBase 500DX can be set up to run quietly when it doesn't have to work hard. Number 2. Lian Li LanCool 2. Best bang for your buck. The Lian Li LanCool 2 is another budget case effort from Lian Li, budget relative to the rest of Lian Li's past cases at least. It's the successor to the identically MRSP'd $90 LanCool 1, a case that we were mildly pleased with at the time but lacked the wow factor of Lian Li's 001 line. The LanCool 2 has already gained a few points in our book just by being a sequel case that doesn't look the same or worse than the original. The side panels are subdivided into 2 sections each. The bottom quarter or so below the level of the PSU shroud is steel and hinges down along the bottom edge of the case, and the top section above the PSU shroud is tempered glass and hinges back along the rear edge of the case. The glass sections can be lifted off their hinge pins when opened, and the hinge pins are of unequal length to make indexing the door easier when replacing it. Remove the tape and then place them inside the angular grooves. The cable hiding or routing bar here is fairly rudimentary. It doesn't have the style of, say, NZXT's H710i, but it's also a considerably cheaper chassis. On top of that, there's support for ATX motherboards and also eATX if the cable bar is removed. Ultimately, what Lian Li has achieved with the LanCool 2 is a fantastic blend between price and performance, and one you won't regret investing in. Number 1. Phanteks Eclipse P500A. Best overall. Like the P400A, the P500A comes in both normal and digital variants. The base model comes with 2 140mm non-RGB fans. The digital version comes with case lighting effects and 3 140mm D-RGB fans, which is how Phanteks refer to addressable RGB. Listed specs for the fans are identical other than the LEDs. The lighting is compatible with the 3-pin 5V headers used by Asus, MSI, ASRock, etc. Other than the fans, thin strips at the top of the front panel and along the edge of the PSU shroud are lit. The base model has a reset button. The DRGB model replaces this with color and mode buttons. The built-in controller has baked-in lighting profiles for those that can't or don't want to use control software. The HDD brackets that Phanteks includes with the case are a better investment. A bigger case means more room to work and more room to install parts. The downside is in finding a place to put it. Phanteks has sprinkled in some features that we previously saw in the Evolve X to make this a premium case, some of which we like and some of which we don't, but they're toppings on the solid base. Thermal performance is just as good or better than the P400A digitals, which was already at the top of most of our charts. Buying guide. Aesthetics. Make sure you like the look of the PC case you're buying. You're going to be staring at it for years to come, so this is not a superficial consideration. Every online retailer shows PC cases from multiple angles on their store pages, so there's no excuse for buying ugly. PC cases come in all sorts of colours, materials and designs. Size. Before anything else, you should decide what size case you need. As you may know, there are 3 major case sizes: full tower, mid-tower and mini ITX. The mid-tower and the full tower cases both fit standard ATX motherboards, but they can also fit smaller micro ATX motherboards. The full tower cases are massive, and I'd recommend these if you plan on loading up your rig with extensive water cooling, 3- and 4-way graphics card setups, or storage galore. On the other hand, the mini ITX cases are built for diminutive mini ITX motherboards. PSU. There are cases out there that ship together with a power supply unit, but while it may be tempting to get one such case and save a few bucks on a power supply, it may not be a good idea. The PSU is one of the essential components of any PC, and if you're investing any serious amount of money in a gaming setup, you'll want to make sure that you've got an adequate power supply.